New year, new DAC amp unit. Yes, today we're taking a look at none other than the iFi hip-dac 2. It's a portable palm-sized amplifier with a few tricks up its sleeve, one of which happens to be that tasty XBass functionality I fell in love with when I paired my HiFiMAN Arias with the iFi signature a little while ago. So, needless to say, I'm pretty stoked about this one. So, not only will we be taking a good look at this, but we'll also be comparing it to the iFi signature, which hasn't left my side since the moment I received it. Now, before we begin, once again, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, all the rest, you know the deal. Now, without further ado, let's jump right in. So let's start off with the contents here. With this unit, you will receive a short male USB-C to male USB-A cable, a female USB-A to male USB-C adapter, a female USB-A to male USB-A adapter, extra silicone feet for the unit, the manual, the warranty card, and of course, a tasty snack for the kids. Who am I kidding? You don't have kids. Now, let's approach the build quality and features. Well, what can I say? Build quality is as impeccable as usual. The unit is made of a sturdy metallic body, which is so sturdy because it is flat, so there isn't a lot of empty space within it. Now, the knob feels pretty sturdy too. The buttons have a short travel distance and feel quite tactile too. Now, the power match knob is essentially a gain switch. We'll get to a few examples a little later into the video. Now, according to iFi, the XBass functionality was designed to return the lost bass from a headphone's response. I'm not sure if I'd put it that way, but it definitely has an effect on headphones' low end, that's for certain. Again, more on that a bit later. Now, you'll see the light indicator is to show you that the unit is on, as well as to let you know what type of audio format is being used. Here's a quick little clip of what each color means. Now, as a whole tiny portability aspect comes into play, you'll notice that this unit offers unbalanced 3.5mm and balanced Pentacon outputs, but it does not offer the traditional 4th-inch port. Now, I know it may seem obvious, but I felt I should point that out in case you didn't quite hit you yet, you know what I'm saying? Now, on the rear of the device, you'll see a male USB-A port for data only and a female USB-C port for charging purposes. And I wouldn't worry too much about this. Remember, you got the included adapters to help you get by, and they're all included with the unit, so you don't need to worry about stocking up on some extra adapter unless you're looking for something longer. Now, let's move on to sound and amplification here. For reference, the hip-dac 2 starts at 8 o'clock and goes up to almost 6 o'clock. Now, I also tested this with my Android's volume set to 13 out of 15 for your reference. So with the HD600s, I get all the way to 2 p.m. on gain 1, while getting up to 1 p.m. on gain 2. With the 560S, I get all the way to 130 on gain 1, while getting up to 1130 on gain 2. With the HiFiMAN Arias, I get all the way to 3 o'clock on gain 1, while getting up to 1 o'clock on gain 2. And with the HiFiMAN Sundaras, I get all the way to 2 o'clock on gain 1, while getting up to 1 o'clock on gain 2. As for the sound quality brought about by the unit, it's pretty good, actually. As usual, iFi delivered an awesome DAC and clean amp in one package. Now, between the hip-dac 2 and the signature, I could personally hear a little bit of difference in the soundstage and presentation of the music. Not necessarily detail, just a bit of extra life to the music with the signature. Do keep in mind, though, the hip-dac 2 still has plenty of juice to offer. It's not like it, doesn't satisfy the headphone. And this particular difference I'm hearing is in the HD600s, which are known, notoriously, or however you want to put it, to scale noticeably with higher end gear. Of course, one wants to know what their worst case scenario would be, so here we are. Now let's discuss the wild card here, the XBass functionality. This right here, you know what we're talking about. So let's kick things off with the HD600s here. They experience a boost in the mid-bass, which brings forth the bloominess in the low end, but also makes things like kick drums kick a little harder. Unfortunately, no real improvements in the sub-bass, the area of most interest to me, at least. The HD560S, and by the way, shout out to that one guy on Reddit that posted that whole, Mom, can we have PC38X? We have PC38X at home. PC38X at home, this right here. Thank you very much for posting that. I actually use these for work now. I've been starting to alternate between these, the Fidelio X2HRs, the KOS KPH40Is, and the AirPod Gen 3. I've been alternating between those 4 particular headsets for work, and man, it is great to add like absolute neutrality to that particular mix. It's chef's kiss. Absolute chef's kiss. Anyway, these handle the XBass functionality a lot better than the HD600s do. I still think they become too boomy in the mid-bass when it comes to acoustic tracks. However, when it comes to electronic tracks where the bass is called upon more often, you can clearly tell that the 560S drivers output a cleaner bass response and a deeper, richer sub-bass. HiFiMAN Sundara, I'd say I felt the effects the least on this headphone. The area that was mostly impacted is the lower mid-bass, closer to the sub-bass. However, I'd say it's not all that worth turning it on. Unless, of course, you already have the hip-dac 2 and feel like toggling it on every now and then. In which case, I mean, sure, go for it. But to get it just for the XBass functionality on the Sundaras, I don't think so. I just don't think so. HiFiMAN Aria. Wow, that was terrible. HiFiMAN Arias. This is the headphone that takes this effect the absolute best. From the small selection I have at my disposal, at least. Flipping it on Alive by Empire of the Sun, the Z remix, is always such a joy. I mean, you get that genuine head-rattling bass experience that you can only hear from a subwoofer. Well, I guess you can't only hear that from a subwoofer anymore, but no, same thing. Only a 12-inch subwoofer can deliver that unique deep bass experience. Not even something like this can do it. It's very, very close, but it's not the same thing. But we digress. Granted, I still wouldn't leave this on forever. I'd probably toggle the XBass on and off whenever that extra bass punch becomes a real improvement. So it's not like a just flip it on and forget it kind of thing. You're gonna have to be, switching back and forth. Now let's get to some notes and observations here. So, in regards to the XBass functionality, I mentioned I was interested in the hip-dac 2 because of what I had heard on the iFi signature DAC. Well, I hate to break it to you, but the more expensive DAC still has the better performance in this department. As expected, but hey, Or rather, I would say as expected, but when that particular item is more of a subjective kind of thing, you never know. Now, the biggest difference I can perceive here is that the XBass toggle in the signature affects the mid-bass a lot less. This, in my opinion, truly allows you to just turn on the switch and keep it on for as long as you want. On the hip-dac, leaving the switch on for so long wouldn't be such a good idea because certain tracks would sound a tad too boomy. So yeah, subjectively speaking, the XBass function on the signature still outperforms the XBass on the hip-dac too. So to conclude, for $190 you get a pretty competent portable unit that can run a balanced signature and allows for a bit of customization with the sound. Now I recommend this for people who need a tiny unit for on-the-go use in their laptop bag or something of the sort. I mean, you just stuff it in there, it's about the size of your palm roughly. It's thin, it's a flat little thing, you just shove it in there, you're done. Now, I'd buy this for its clean sound, though not really for the XBass functionality alone. Like, if we're talking about a somewhat sterile headphone like the 560S, right? The XBass toggle may offer some improvements here and there. It's a subjective thing, it could work. But if we're talking about the Aria specifically, or a headphone of that caliber that already has a very, very potent bass structure, right? You'd still be best with pairing those with the iFi signature because it's gonna become a lot. Or even like the ZMF O-Tours. I even tried this with the O-Tours a bit. The O-Tours are very, very bass capable. Not bassy per se, but bass capable. And this thing, just, what are with these sound effects? Listen, I've been watching a lot of Seinfeld recently and like Kramer is getting to me, okay? So, forgive me. Anyway, as for me, I'll be back on the prowl looking at iFi's remaining selection, hoping that I may find a better unit for the Arias. But until then, thank you very much for watching. I appreciate it. I hope this video helped you out, and I will see you in the next one. Okay, ciao.